Which actually, you know what's funny? That actually works better.
Because then they start anticipating that shit. Yes, they do. And they're scared. And then half the time, you don't even got to do it. You can just say, yo, listen, you ready?
Okay, well, let's talk about it now.
There you go. The fear of the beat.
Oh yeah, that works. I think that definitely worked. That worked for me.
And that's why I was gonna ask you, Too Cold, to actually chime in, because excuse me, I can play both sides of the fence with this, because I have my 22-year-old son, my 20-year-old daughter, and currently my 17-year-old daughter, and this is outside of the 2-year-old and the 6-month-old. So when my 3 older children, when they were young, now we get them on the weekends and stuff, whatever, we'd hang out, do things. I would never put my hands on my kids. You know, just listen to what I say. Listen, if you want this, then I need the proper behavior and so forth and so on. And I really never had any problems out of my children. It wasn't until they started getting older and the 2 older ones got into their teens. So my son, he kind of started coming around less and less, which I didn't take offensively, only because I knew that he wanted to be out with his friends and stuff, and I'm not going to stop that. I'll see you or whatever. We good. And then my daughter, she started getting into the same thing with her friends and so forth. But at the same time, you had this era of, this is when everybody started recording fights and all of this other stuff, whatever. And that the World Star thing was a big thing. And I have found out that my daughter was going to fight some little girl that she was supposed to be friends with. And the next thing you know, her mother calls me up and shows me a video of her fighting this same little girl. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought she was friends with her. And meanwhile, out here in the background, the individual holding the phone, recording the whole thing, was my daughter's supposed best friend at the time that was gassing her to fight this other little girl. That pissed me off. What really pissed me off about it was the fact that you allowed somebody else to influence you enough to do something that, you understand what I'm saying? Now at this point, I had never put my hands on my children. But when her mother called me and I came over and I was like, all right, and I came over there like, all right, I'm gonna come over here and piece it out and everything. But what happened was, my she got over dramatic. And so she's like crying. You know how you cry so hard to the point where it doesn't matter what someone tells you to do. The crying part is more important than whatever it is that they ask you to do. So it's like, as soon as they tell you to do it, it's like, I can't. My leg is broken. You know what I'm saying? Well, my leg is broken. My leg is broken. You know what I'm saying? Well, my leg is broken. You know what I'm saying? Well, oh boy. You see why he's so important to this, because he brings that outside view. But I digress. So my daughter, what ended up happening was the recorded fight was on a phone that she did not want to give her mother the password to. So I simply told her mother to give me the phone. And I said, listen, I said 2 things are going to happen, because at this point I was very upset. I was very upset with her, and I was like, I was disappointed more than upset. And I said, listen, I took the belt from her mother, and I said, I'm going to give you the phone, and you have 2 choices. You either open the phone or we're going to have a problem. She went into the dramatic cry and everything else. So I took the belt and I gave her a couple of whacks and went to work on her. And I said, well, I'm going to make you understand that I hit a lot harder than your mother does. So I suggest that you do what I'm asking you to do. She didn't want to, so I said, okay. After that, she went into whole hysterical crying. I was like, you're coming with me. So I took her to my house, and on the way to my house, I said, because I told her mother, I said, we'll be back. And I said, the phone will be open when we get back. I promise you that. On the drive to my house, I said, listen, I'm going to ask you to do something when we get to my house. And if you don't do what it is that I'm asking you to do, then I have a thicker belt. I hit harder. I'm twice the size as your mother. You're not going to like it. So I'm just suggesting that you do what I'm asking you to do. So we get to my house, I put the phone on the counter, and within 30 seconds, the phone was unlocked. And I said, take whatever screen lock, whatever security locks you have on it, I said, remove them. And then leave the phone on the counter, and then I'm going to bring you home. The funniest thing in the world happened.
She says, I don't want to go with that. All right.
That's the cry. When you start crying and you can't. Yep.
But she didn't want to go back home. She wanted to stay at my house, and I was like, oh, okay. So I called her mother. Said I'll bring her home in the morning. She said okay, and I said don't worry, the phone's unlocked. And she was like, all right.
Structure.
And after that, and I had that, and that was literally the only time I had any. All three of my children, the three oldest ones, could tell you that was the only time I ever put my hands on. And it's not because I wanted to do that. It's because I felt that I needed to, because it was a situation where I had to teach you a lesson, because you weren't going to learn it. You were not going to learn it. And with, like I said, with Too Cold, it's almost like when you said that you don't do that, I felt that, because I didn't do it for the longest time. I didn't do it. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to do it. It hurt my heart. It hurt my heart. And that's something I did not want to do. But after that, my 17-year-old daughter that's here with me, she said, it was for years after that, like, the older one that got beat was like, yeah, Dad, you need to beat her. Yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's so funny to me, because she wanted me to record the whole thing. And I was like, all right, yeah. But to get back to the video, okay, you have this, she seems to be Hispanic, the mother, and the father, he seems to be West Indian. And the little girl in the back, which is why I was kind of like, I see where he's coming from. Because after the one little girl was like, oh, Daddy slapped her in the face and whatever, and the mother got hysterical about it. But at that point, the father was simply like, okay, well, she's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So now, when the conversation is going on between the two adults, the mother and the father, the little girl had no place to open her mouth. She should have kept her mouth shut. You understand what I'm saying? And this is where the generational thing comes in, because nowadays, this generation of kids, they feel like they have to voice their opinion without repercussion. You understand? So now, my thing is this: as a parent, you can voice your opinion, but you're gonna voice your opinion when I say, okay, say what you gotta say. But you're not gonna talk over me. You're not gonna interject when I'm speaking to the other parent. You understand what I'm saying? Stop talking. Let me speak over here. Don't interrupt, because I'm speaking to another adult, because I'll either have to exit you out the room, or you can walk away, or whatever the situation. But the bottom line is, when two adults are speaking, the child is to be silent. Act like you ain't even in the room. When you're given the opportunity to speak, because even the parents that did do a lot of the beating and all that other stuff, they give you a moment. They say, well, what did you do? What happened? You understand what I'm saying? They give you that opportunity. Okay? So when it is your time to speak, this is your time to speak, and I'm going to give you the floor.
Well, thank you.
If you keep interjecting in my conversation, then it's going to be a problem. Rob, don't make me, I swear to God, if you interject one more time, you say something, that's while I'm talking.
I didn't say anything yet.
But, you know what I'm saying? So even while the parents were speaking, then the little girl still opened her mouth or whatever. And this is why that upset the father, because now you take it from a generational thing to a cultural thing. Yeah. Because now we know that, in the general sense of speaking, the West Indians, they don't play the Jamaican, Guyanese, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? They don't play that. When you're gonna open your mouth or whatever, they're gonna take care of that. You know what I'm saying? And even the Hispanics, the Puerto Ricans and the Mexicans, and they don't, come on, like their generation didn't play that stuff.
Not even a little bit.
It didn't play not a little bit at all. And it's something that's gotten lost over the generation. And again, that this generation of kids just feel like they don't have to abide by those same rules.
Yeah.
Hurry up and get a show the fucking chest.